Are your loved ones sending you signs from beyond the grave?
They will do anything and everything to get our attention.
Could you be missing them?
On the ground, there was a maple leaf.
Could that be a message?
We can ask for specific things.
Plus, all rise for health court.
I am at my wit's end.
She's losing sleep over her husband's snoring.
It's like I sleep with a beatbox.
Coming up next.
Are you ready for season 11? Today we're asking a question we have never asked before. Could you be missing signs from your loved ones from beyond the grave? Could a deceased family member be trying to talk with you or even warn you, but you are unintentionally ignoring the signs? My next guest, medium and grief counselor Laura Lynne Jackson, says yes, and she wants to show you 3 ways to unlock signs from the other side. Please welcome Laura Lynne Jackson. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
You break this down so nicely for us. So you say the ability to actually see beyond where we are now is not just something that mediums possess, that we all have this ability.
Absolutely. This is a gift that belongs to us all. You know, we all come here to Earth as souls, and we're all hardwired to each other and to a team of light on the other side. And that team of light is God energy. It's the angelic realms, our spirit guides, our guardian angels, if you will, and it's anybody we loved who has crossed. And our relationship with our team of light is ongoing. And when we lose somebody we love and they've crossed to the other side, they can help guide us too. And so we all have the ability to tune in, to make that connection, and to open our minds and our hearts to the signs and the messages that are guiding us, and to help guide each other as well.
So when we're talking about signs from the other side, people may think of incidents like the supposed haunting at a hotel. So take a look at this video. Keep an eye on the ceiling.
We need a new hotel room. Yeah, that.
How many of you would leave that hotel? Right? I mean, that's pretty scary stuff, but is that the kind of sign we're talking about? Because that's hard to miss.
Yeah, so that sign's a little Hollywood, and to me, that sign's a little alarming. You know, when our team of light on the other side sends us signs, they don't like to scare us. So the signs that they send can be far more subtle than that.
So I've always been a bit skeptical about things we can't see. As a scientist, that comes in handy.
You should be. I think being skeptical is great.
But I lost my father this year.
I'm so sorry.
And, well, he did everything you'd ever want to do in life. He was 93, there's Dad. And I always felt he told me everything he wanted to tell me, because he never held back. But my mom feels like she's with him and talking to him continually. And it has actually shifted my thoughts around this. So for the skeptics like me, who aren't sure, right? Is it possible for them to also have these signs, these insights from their, what do you call them, the team of light?
The team of light, absolutely. You know, our loved ones who cross try to communicate with us all the time. So I think that skeptics can be convinced all the time, but the only way to really do that is to have your own direct experiences. I tell everyone, you know, this gift doesn't belong to just me. We all have experiences of connection.
So again, is it possible for skeptics to get these signs? Is the reason my mom is having a dialogue or seeing signs from my father because she's open to this, and I'm missing signs that are right in front of me, or is he not trying to send me a message because he's bored? He talked to me already.
No.
I invested enough time in you.
No, I promise you, he's still sending signs and messages. You know, you're a very busy man, so you might not be picking up on them. You know, we all can miss signs and messages, but when we learn how to tune in, you know, we can really start to see its presence in our lives. And sometimes they send us messages that are so in our face, so to speak, that we can't miss it.
Let's meet Lisa. She says she's seeing coins and maple leaves and wants to know what these signs are. How are you? And again, just as an opening, so would you consider yourself a skeptic, open-minded, or not sure?
I'm very open.
Okay.
Very open-minded.
And describe what you've been seeing.
So my grandmother passed a little over 4 years ago, and almost immediately after she passed, I started seeing things that I felt like were signs from her that she was reaching out to me. Regularly, as I'm walking along, I'll see a just a coin in my path, and I know that that can be one of the that can be a sign.
So what are the other default signs that might unlock the rest of this opportunity?
So coins is definitely one of them. Pennies, dimes, nickels in our path when we're having a moment of missing them, or we've had a bad day, or we're celebrating something. But it doesn't stop there. They love to do electrical disturbances, and especially in today's day and age of the cell phone, they love giving you phone calls at a certain time, or sending you a text message that you don't know where it came from, or sometimes when you're texting someone, changing the words in your text box. And the other thing they love to send are creatures that navigate the world using electromagnetic fields, I find. And so those are birds, butterfly, deer, dragonflies. They will do anything and everything to get our attention and let us know they're with us. But it doesn't end there. We can ask for specific things. You can ask them to send you something totally different. Let's say you want to make sure that it's your grandmother sending you the message. You could say, and you only have to say it in your thoughts, you know, I would like you to send me, Grandma, and pick something, but make it a little different. You know, you could say, send me a purple elephant. And so when we ask for really specific things and we get them, we have to own those experiences.
I hope that's helpful, Lisa.
Yeah, very much.
Come on over, Laura. The other common thing I hear a lot about are folks who have lost loved ones, and then they think about them at night.
Yeah.
One of the ways you can unlock signs from the other side is to pay attention to this. Are you ready? It happens in bed. It's your dreams. And I just did an interview with Dog the Bounty Hunter, who lost his beloved wife 2 months ago. And he spoke about seeing her in dreams. And it was so vivid to him, the way he described it. And it reminded me that's not a bad time to think about this, because your mind is letting go of the world around you.
That's 100% true. When we dream at night, our brain goes offline and we are at our highest ability to communicate with the other side. So everybody has this incredible opportunity to connect with the other side, to get dream visitations from their loved ones, to get symbolic messages.
Yeah,
it can be a beautiful experience.
Let me ask Sue to join us. And so I know you had a dream recently that, actually, you don't have a seat. You can describe
Okay,
it.
thank
Or
you.
you can join. So tell Laura about your dream.
Oh, my dream. Well, as you said before, visitation. It feels like a dream visitation, not just a dream. It's so intense, and you don't forget it. And it leaves you with a good feeling.
Yes.
So recently I reconnected with a friend that I hadn't seen in years, and he was sad because his sister had passed 2 weeks prior. And we took a little trip together that night. We were staying by the ocean in Montauk, and in my dream, I'm at the ocean, we're walking by the ocean, and this big force of water takes us and swoops us, and it wasn't very comfortable. So I thought this was it in the dream. But some kind of force came and lifted us up, and at that moment I saw my son that had passed in 2005, and I saw his sister, and they were bringing us to safety.
So Laura, what do you think about the story?
First of all, I think this is such a beautiful moment of connection between you and your son, and him and his sister too, and that you were the vehicle to bring that through. That's a visitation dream. And so what that tells me is that your son on the other side and his sister on the other side are part of both of your teams of light and have helped bring you two together. So what a beautiful messenger you are to share that with everyone.
Thanks for being on today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Up next, Laura's going to reveal the third way you can unlock signs from beyond the grave. And here's a hint. Laura says the secret can sometimes save your life.
Guy on your medical records.
A friend in crisis.
You're a ticking time bomb.
A life at stake.
With the heart the way it is right now, you aren't going to be here.
A wake-up call. Before it's too late.
The choice is yours.
That's coming up on Monday. Since my father passed last year, I've been wondering if he's been trying to communicate with my family. He was never a quiet person. My mom says that she thinks she's speaking to my dad all the time, but is it possible? Medium and grief counselor Laura Lynne Jackson says it is. In her new book, Signs, The Secret Language of the Universe, she says she can show us how we can all learn to never miss a sign from beyond the grave. And she just showed us how to look for coins and animals and numbers and to pay attention to dreams for messages from loved ones who have crossed over. And now the third way, Laura says, you can unlock signs from beyond is to trust your intuitive pull.
Yes, absolutely. We all have what I call a psychic toolbox available to us at all times. And I call it the 4 clairs. We have clairvoyance, which is what we were talking about when we spoke about sleeping and dreaming at night. It means clear vision. And it's when we have our psychic vision. So we have dreams that are, connecting us. We have clairaudience, which is clear hearing. And it just means if you hear a thought that's not yours, that is loving and directing you, that's another form of intuition. We have claircognizance, which means clear knowing, where we have a sudden absolute knowing in every ounce of our being, but there's no logical way to explain it. And then the one most of us are tuned into, and the one that's most prevalent, is clairsentience. And that means clear feeling. And just to give you a quick example from my life, I'm always open to my team of light helping me. And within 1 week, I had 3 experiences where I was driving and I acted very differently suddenly because I had an intuitive pull to stop. One was turning into a parking spot at Target, where a 3-year-old, I just stopped the car, and my kids were like, "Mom, why are you stopping it?" And with that, a 3-year-old little girl ran into it. It would have been terrible. Another one, 2 days later, I was at a stoplight. It turned green, and my daughter said, "Why aren't you going, Mom?" And I'm like, "Because." And with that, an 18-wheeler truck was passed and blew the light. So these are real things that can not only help.
Tell your kids to be quiet from now.
Right? They know by now.
Mom knows what she's doing.
But if we each tune into that, we can sometimes save someone else's life or our own. So we can find our highest path. So this is not something to take lightly. It's something to really trust and tune into and open to.
You up for questions from the audience?
Oh, I would love that.
I know we had somebody up here who's anxiously awaiting. How are you?
Hi. Hi. I was reading your book actually on the beach, and I decided to ask for a sign of a red snapper because my dad loved to fish for them. So I spent the vacation looking for them, like on the menu and things like that.
Has your father crossed over?
Yeah, in 2013. So I spent, the whole vacation looking for it on the menu, and I never got it. So on the last day, the chef actually took us to the back for a little tour, and one of the first things he showed us was like full fresh caught red snapper, and I was like, it's a little jarring. So I guess how can you be more content to ask for signs, especially when you get them so quickly? Because I kind of haven't asked since. It's a little scary.
So the first thing I'm going to say to you is try not to be afraid when it happens. The greatest thing you can do when you have that beautiful moment of connection, and I love how your dad saved it for the final day and did a big, grand showing, right? I think what we need to do is in our minds and our heart, we say, "Thank you, I got your sign." And then the best thing you can do, and you're doing it right now, is to share it with others. So not only did you just share it with the studio audience, you shared it with all of America, which is really celebrating and honoring your connection with your dad.
Hope that was helpful. Any other questions? Burning issues? Of course, the very 1 second. I knew it would be the last person in the last row.
Sorry.
How are you?
Hi.
Now, come on down with me, actually.
Oh my God. Oopsie daisy.
Yes, sir.
It's a good thing you did that.
What's your name?
My name's Mary.
Okay, we can ask from here. Go ahead, Mary.
Hi. My parents have been dead for about 30, 35 years. I don't dream a lot, and I want to dream about my parents. And I call to them. I'm like, "Mom," well, I'm old. I'm going to be 67. Not that that's old. But anyway,
You look
I'm
good
like,
to me.
"Mommy and Daddy, would you talk to me? How can I get them to come to me?"
I love that you want to speak to them in your dreams. And so what you should say is what I do is I use my whole team of light. I go to them as my spiritual bouncers and I say, "Listen, I'd really like for you to help facilitate this and let my mom and dad into my dreams so that I can have this moment of connection in my dreams." The other thing I'd encourage you to do is get a dream journal and keep it next to the bed because the universe will know you're serious then.
I'm serious.
Yes.
And I do that. But I don't dream a lot. That's the problem.
Well, I can help a little bit with that.
What will you do for me?
People who don't dream aren't sleeping enough usually. And that's why some people have kids, especially have fantastic dreams, because no one's waking them up usually.
Right.
But
I have no kids. I have no pets. I have nothing.
When you have us, you have the rest of the audience. You have the rest of humanity.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Laura's new book. It's called Signs, The Secret Language of the Universe. It is out, and everyone in the audience, you're all going home with a copy. We'll be right back. Up next, my friend Renata shares a scary health emergency she went through.
I heard a voice while I was going through it. It was nobody but Jesus.
Find out why she says her faith saved her life. A couple months ago, someone I adore had a health emergency that no one saw coming. Renata, who has been this show's go-to tester over the years, says God sent her a sign that her health was in immediate danger. She's here to reveal how her faith saved her.
I had surgery on my leg to relieve my Achilles tendonitis. The cut is on the back of my calf, and today is my post-op. He's checking it and making sure that everything's okay, changing the bandage and all that. So, waiting to see him. Getting my stitches out. What's going on with my leg? I'm also having some shortness of breath. You know what? It just feels like something's not right.
Renata's here, along with our friend and preacher, Devon Franklin. She says that in that moment, God spoke to you.
Oh, yes.
How did you know?
So, I went and got my leg checked. Well, actually, it was post-op. I went to post-op to get the stitches out and things of that nature. But when I got back home, I was like, it's too swollen, but in my brain, I was like, I had surgery a week ago, right?
Yeah.
I had surgery a week ago. It's supposed to be swollen. But then I was like,
Something don't feel
I said, something ain't right. I said, you know what? It was nobody but the voice of the Lord saying, you know what, girl, take your butt to the doctor, okay? Take your butt to the doctor. And lo and behold, I get there and I had a clot behind my knee.
Wow.
Behind my knee.
I want to talk about that clot.
Yeah.
Because it's a big deal, what you were going through. And the fact that you listen to that voice is important. Now, a lot of folks doubt what their bodies are trying to tell them. It's, we're in the middle of an emergency and we dismiss stuff, not wanting to hear the truth.
You know, a lot of times when we're so distracted that we're missing these vital signs. And I think distraction and fear are two of the things that we have to confront in order to really hear the messages that God is trying to tell us about our health and about so many things that are going on in our life. And it's amazing that she was calm enough to listen. Yeah. And then she had the courage to go and do something about it.
Yeah.
So what did you do? You go back there, they tell you got this little clot happening.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound so bad, little clot.
Right, I was like, okay. I was like, okay, I got this clot behind my knee, right? But then when I went to the doctor, I said, well, what if I've been having this little shortness of breath? And she said, girl, go to the hospital, right? So, because I went to my primary to get the thrombus, okay? I'm using my technical words, okay? To get the thrombus exam. And I said, well, what if I'm having a little shortness of breath? And she says, go to the hospital. So I went to the hospital, and I get the CT scan, and the doctor comes back. And I was like, Doc, when can I leave? You know me, I don't ever listen.
Exactly.
You know, I'm ready to go.
That.
So I was like, I'm good. Why, when can I, it's only in my leg. When can I leave? And he was like, you can't go. He says, you can't go. At that moment, I was like, whoa, seriously, in my lung? I first said to Dr. Rosenblatt, I was like, shut up. I don't have no lung, no blood clot in my lung. But then at that moment, I was like, well, thank God I came in.
So I'm telling you. I'm still a little sore about this.
Yeah.
Because we are friends. I mean, it's the kind of thing you might call me about. I found out about this from my producers a week later. And I'm going to say this sincerely. There's no point in not calling me. In fact, there's no point in not calling your friends when you need help. Here's the thing, the deeper truth. You're a giver, which I respect you for. It's why people love you across America. But people who give got to take sometimes.
Okay.
And I know you talk about this a lot. You can't, it sounds so good to give all the time. But if you're always giving, then people don't get to give to you.
Right. And so often that is the challenge for a giver, is because so often our inability to receive has a lot to do with our value and how we feel about ourselves. When we allow ourselves to be great givers, we have to be great receivers, to know that we're worthy to receive. And one of the things that she mentioned, which is so critical, is that she heard a message, but she was in denial. Anything we are in denial about, we empower to destroy us. We have to face our fears. We got to have the courage, because what happened? If you did not do that, you wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Doctor said I would have been on the ground. He said a couple more days, you'd have been on the ground.
I think even shorter. Come
Thank
on over
God.
here. Let me show this. if you had called me, here's what I would have showed you.
Don't you worry. I told you I'm calling you once a month now, okay?
You're putting me on a
He
retainer.
didn't say all that, though.
All right. So let's just go back and look at what's happening in someone's body. Normally, the blood vessels in the veins, their blood just pouring through. They're carrying all the oxygen, all the good stuff. But once in a while, you'll get an area of roughness, like a valve gets stuck in your leg, and the vein clots, like when you're lying on your back during the surgery, right? That clot normally is in the calf, but it goes up from your calf because the blood's flowing that way anyway, up and through your belly vein, up into the heart, goes through the heart and bangs up in here. That's the pulmonary artery. That's the artery that carries all the blood to the lungs. The blood doesn't go to the lungs, then what happens? Your heart starts to beat faster, your lungs start to go quicker, you can't breathe, you get shortness of breath. So I got the CAT scan that I would have seen if you'd called me. And here it is.
You know what?
Now,
You're not gonna let me live it down.
Now, if you were interpreting this CAT scan, you probably couldn't put all the pieces together quite yet. But just pretend you had called me.
Okay.
Right? That's your spine, right? Okay. And this little darkness here, let me put a little red line around it, right? Wow. That little red line, that's not supposed to be there. This is gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't even your first pulmonary embolism, right?
It's not.
Right?
It's my second one.
So you're an experienced pulmonary embolism person.
Yeah.
So what do you have to say about this one? What did you learn about a problem that could have killed you to make sure it doesn't happen again?
Well, you know what, Dr. Oz? Let me tell you something, okay? My mama, God rest her soul, she actually passed from a PE.
Wow. From an embolism?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I didn't know until my first one. But I'm telling you, thank God I'm here. There must be a God somewhere. Amen?
Well, I'm confident. I'm confident. But it also pays to have the ability to act on what God would have told you to do. So, Devon, for all those who are trying to figure their health out, what's the biggest message that God's trying to tell you if you're just going to listen to it?
You know, the biggest message is that, we are fearfully and wonderfully made, that we are loved. And God is sending us signs all the time. But this is so important. Too many people are meeting an early demise because we're too afraid to do what we hear. Don't be afraid. God loves us so much that he'll give us a sign that can save our life.
Thank you for coming on the show. I love having you all the time. Devon, sage advice as always. It's important. Listen to your body. What God's trying to tell you, just pay attention and act on it. I want to thank my friends for joining us and sharing the story of faith. We'll be right back. Up next, health court is now in session. The next plaintiff is tired of her snoring husband keeping her up at night. She's here to ask for a sleep divorce. And who better to help me rule over this case? She's a celebrity divorce attorney and star of Bravo's Untying the Knot. We'll be right back.
Bickering couples, warring neighbors, friends and family divided. When it's time for resolution, it's time to take them to health court, where Dr. Oz rules.
The plaintiff, Tiffany, says, "I want to sleep divorce my husband because his snoring is driving me crazy." She's here to prove her husband has sleep apnea and wants him to sleep on the couch until he takes it seriously. The defendant, Demis, says his snoring isn't that bad, and he's tired of his wife diagnosing him from a Google search. He's here to countersue, asking Dr. Oz to make sure he doesn't get kicked out of his bed.
Health court is now in session. Plaintiff, please help me understand, what does sleep divorce mean to you?
Dr. Oz, it means that I am at my wit's end. And I must be totally at the line, because this tall, dark, and handsome man, to even consider, I have to kick him out of my bed. He has to go.
So what is the snoring doing to you? How's it affecting you?
Dr. Oz, I'm on a weight loss plan. You know, you told me. You said sleeping all night, having healthy sleep is one of the big reasons for losing weight. But his daggone loud snoring keeps me up. I cannot get proper rest, and he has got to go. He's in denial.
Just to help all of us, can you describe said snore? What does it sound like?
You know what? It's like I sleep with a beatbox. Yeah. Human beatbox, right next to me.
Wow. You'll have a moment, sir. One last question. You're here to kick him out of your bed until he takes his snoring seriously.
He's not.
Do you believe he also has sleep apnea?
Yes. He meets all the criteria. He has sleep apnea. Google says so.
Let me get the defendant involved in this. You are arguing that the charge of sleep apnea, not the snoring, but the sleep apnea, should be thrown out. Why is that?
Absolutely. Look, Google, she's a Google doctor. She wants to examine everything she sees by Google. And I know by watching your show that is the wrong way to go. So this should be thrown out. It's a complete lie. There's nothing true about this.
So let the record show that I do frown on Dr. Google. Internet diagnosing can be dangerous. However, I've seen in our court records that you've been married for 18 years. Is that correct?
That's correct.
18 years, 2 kids.
Yes.
Have you ever worried about being banished from your bedroom? And what do you think it would do to your marriage if you have a sleep divorce?
She took a vow before God and man saying she was going to be with me through everything that we had to go through. Now, because she alleges that I snore, there's no evidence of this. This is all the evidence that she has is Google. That's it. Nothing else.
Now, I understand the problem with internet diagnosing for sleep apnea, but this snoring, we must have some evidence. Plaintiff, I understand you brought some for this case.
Yes, I did. I have brought evidence from my 2 precious daughters, Dallas and Skylar.
Let's look at the evidence, please.
In the middle of the night, he starts snoring like I cannot sleep at all. And he snores like this. Like a warhog. So Dr. Oz, please help our family. We all need some sleep. We love you, Daddy, but we need to tell the truth. That's right.
So, defendant, you deny those adorable eyewitness accounts of your own children.
Those are such precious children. This is the first time I've ever seen delinquent behavior in them. And I'm concerned. I'm really concerned. I think this has to do with her late night watching of television. She watches your reruns and others, and she wants me out of there.
A counter allegation, a counter
That's right.
All right, well, to help decide this sleep divorce case, we need to bring in an expert witness. Normally, I would bring in a sleep doctor, but we decided to bring out the big guns. Please welcome celebrity divorce attorney and star of Bravo's Untying the Knot, Vicky Ziegler.
The big guns.
So I've asked our witness to opine. You've been listening to the testimony. What do you think so far?
Wow. Well, we have dichotomy positions here. You have one person, the defendant, who's denying he's snoring. The problem is you're sleeping. So I'm not sure how you know you're actually snoring or not snoring.
Yes.
I just saw witness testimony, eyewitness and ear witness testimony that heard you snore. Now, Tiffany, the question becomes, are you ready to be separated from the defendant in the bedroom? Because that's what sleep divorce is all about.
You want to
Part
think
of the
about that?
night. Part of the night.
Part of the night. All right, hold on a minute. Well, that's not what I see, Dr. Oz, in my experience with a lot of these couples. It's you need to separate from the bedroom. One person, before you go to sleep, actually goes to another location, whether it's a couch or another bedroom. Disrupting your sleep is not going to help the underlying symptom and cause, which is having to figure out what are the solutions to your snoring.
All right, so let's put a break here. Up next, more of Vicky's scathing testimony and the undeniable home test everyone can do right now to find out if they or their partner is at risk for sleep apnea. It's the case of the snoring sleep divorce. It is continuing next.
Tainted alcohol.
Laced with methanol.
How a vacation turned deadly.
They told me I had till 3 p.m. to come up with the money to get her cremated or I would never receive my mother's remains.
All New Oz.
That's coming up on Tuesday.
Welcome back to Health Court. Today I'm presiding over the case of the I want to sleep divorce, my sleeping husband because he's snoring. The plaintiff, Tiffany, wants to kick her husband out of bed, what they call a sleep divorce, because his snoring is unbearable. And she believes he has sleep apnea that he's not taking seriously. The defendant, Demis, is countersuing his wife because he doesn't want to get kicked out of his own bed. He's arguing against the internet-diagnosed sleep apnea. Guest expert witness, celebrity divorce attorney, and Bravo star Vicky Ziegler is back, giving us some advice. How bad for a marriage can sleeping in separate beds be?
It can be very bad unless you're both committed. The question becomes, every night you're sleeping together, you're intimate, you have that time to wind down. When you separate bedrooms, it can cause a problem. It can cause some resentment between the two of you. You can feel disconnected. So it's important for you both to be focused on making sure that if you do separate and sleep divorce, that you're going to work on your relationship and your marriage as if you're dating. So you can sneak into the other person's room, make it fun and sexy, and not make it like it's a bad thing, defendant, because I see you looking at me angrily and saying, wait a second, listen, if you snore, you lose. We can't tell that you have sleep apnea until Dr. Oz tells us you do.
It's not that important, though. You know,
Dr. Oz.
Order in court, please. Order in court. Defendant.
I think it's crucial.
You don't have professional counsel here. I would stop speaking if I were you. Vicky, you have some questions for the litigants. What are they?
I do. So I'm curious. You've been married for 18 years. Why now, plaintiff?
It just is. It's like the straw that hit the camel's back. I mean, he's waking me up. Now my kids are complaining. None of us are really getting a proper rest except for Demas. He can fall asleep like in 10 seconds.
Right.
We're all like, oh my gosh, I have my children running in. Like, is somebody rattling around? No, it's dead. Like, you know, going warhog.
And sleep is crucial for productivity, have clarity when you're driving, when you're working, you're raising the children, it's important. And defendant, what's so wrong with the plaintiff caring about your health? If you have sleep apnea, possibly, there's an underlying problem, obviously, potentially with your health. So don't you want to be here for a long time for your wife and your two beautiful daughters?
I mean, she's a loving wife, truly. And I'm in agreement with you. Let nothing, especially sleep, come between the love that we have.
Well,
so,
you know what they say? Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Okay, so we're going to hear that you're going to work towards fixing the snoring problem if Dr. Oz tells you you have to.
Well, let's get down to the irrefutable evidence that will decide this case. So, Vicky, I need you to help me with something. Can you do that for me?
Anything you
have a
need.
measuring tape, right?
I got it.
All right. Defendant, please approach the bench. If you don't mind, I'd like you to expose your neck.
Please come around.
To Vicky. And Vicky's going to measure your neck.
Come a little closer here.
People can do this at home. If the neck circumference is 17 inches or larger, that raises the specter of sleep apnea. It's an independent risk factor, and it looks like it's a... Vicky, what is it?
We are on the button. 17.
17 inches. You may take your position, sir. Thank you.
Wow, you're on the cusp.
Okay.
Does that surprise you, Demis?
You know, it's genetic. I didn't ask for this body. I didn't ask for this neck.
I think that's an admission.
Yes, you should refrain from speaking further. By health court order, Demis was actually sent to a sleep lab to prove whether or not he is suffering from sleep apnea. Dr. Westwood from the Department of Neurology at Columbia University and I have reviewed the test results. Are you ready for the results?
Yes.
Did you go through the test?
Yes, I'm an innocent man. Now the world will see.
The official diagnosis is that you are suffering from sleep apnea. You have sleep apnea. I'm sorry, plaintiff.
Sorry.
Please.
Sorry.
You are suffering from sleep apnea and sleep deprivation because of the sleep apnea. So I am ready to make my final ruling. You've opined?
Yes, Judge.
We have the expert witnesses. The petitioner in the case of I want to sleep divorce my husband because he's snoring, I will find, because of the evidence presented by our expert witness, I rule in favor of the plaintiff. And I'm granting, listen carefully, Demis, I see this frown on your face, a temporary order allowing the sleep divorce. Tiffany, your husband has sleep apnea, as you predicted with your internet search. He's clearly snoring according to your adorable daughters. He's ordered to follow up with his doctor. If he does that and begins treatment, then he should be allowed back into the bed, but not before he's received treatment. And only because sleep apnea is a very treatable condition, and if left undiagnosed and untreated, Demis, it can be dangerous.
Dr. Oz's ruling was that my husband has sleep apnea, which, okay, I already told you.
Mild. You did say mild.
At least, finally, I will get some sleep. Hopefully, you will get your help.
I mean, I'm not going to fight against Dr. Oz.
Do you want to take someone in your life to health court? Go to droz.com/healthcourt to submit your case.
Is there anything better than a freshly scooped ice cream cone? Oh, that's one of my all-time favorites. But I always have a moment of hesitation before that first lick. Will this cold ice cream cause my teeth to have a jolting pain? You ever have that problem? Yeah. It's a classic sign of tooth sensitivity, and it's so unpleasant. And I knew I wasn't alone in this suffering, so I asked some of my viewers to describe their tooth sensitivity to me. Here's what they had to say.
My tooth sensitivity feels like there is like a shooting, like icicle going down into, like from my tooth down to my jawbone.
It's like a tiny hammer hitting my tooth. A zap, like to my brain and to my entire face. So it's like, I'll bite, I'll just be like, pow!
It's trembling in my body.
What triggers my tooth pain is usually eating desserts, especially ice cream will trigger pain.
It's like cold fruit. Like I'll have a bowl of cold fruit and then I eat them like cold things. Ice cream is wonderful and terrible at the same time.
Cold drinks, the idea of biting into a popsicle seems like a nightmare to me. Can you help me, Dr. Oz?
So what is the culprit behind this crippling form of tooth pain? To tell us more is dental hygienist and Crest Smile Council member Corrine Wilson, who's here on behalf of my trusted sponsors and partner, Crest. So what causes the tooth sensitivity that so many folks are worried about?
Well, 80% of sensitivity starts at the gum line due to gum recession. When the gums pull away from the tooth, it leaves the dentin exposed, and that's when pain can start to set in. When you have some sort of sensitivity at the gum line, all those foods that you eat, like the hot, cold, acidic foods that you love to eat, can trigger a sensitivity response, just like your viewers just experienced.
So how common is it? It seems like everyone I'm talking to has tooth sensitivity.
Believe it or not, 1 in 2 adult Americans experience some kind of sensitivity.
1 in 2 of us.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let's take a look at what's happening to your teeth. We made this very exclusive demonstration so you wouldn't miss the lesson here. Because what you said earlier was really critical.
Yes.
I thought the tooth pain started up here. Yeah. So let's pretend this is your tooth and this is your gum. And you're saying the problem isn't up here. The problem is actually here in the connection between the gum and the teeth, right? And so this bottom part of your teeth, see this colored area? Yeah. That's where the dentin has been stripped away, and that's where you'll have sensitivity. So if I were to make you a nice cold beverage, right? And I was, sort of give you a little bit of it, you'll start to have this happen, right? And you see that foam, right? That represents pain, discomfort, all the things that's happening when the water hits your mouth. And you know what? You won't just feel it here, right? Your entire mouth will have those issues, right? So whatever that cold water is touching your gum line, you're gonna have those same problems. So what do I do so I can enjoy drinking the things I wanna drink? A tea, an ice cold drink, or some acidic meal that's like tomatoes that I really adore.
So when you use a sensitivity toothpaste, especially one that uses stannous fluoride, it actually helps to physically block the irritants that can cause sensitivity at your teeth.
So I got you, this is a equivalent of your stannous fluoride, right? So this stands for stannous fluoride, right? It's a little wrap. And you're bubble wrapping our teeth, basically.
So essentially, you are physically wrapping the area around the teeth to help block out the pain. So you can enjoy that ice cold water and that hot coffee that you love.
Yeah. So again, the goal here is even if they put it right on that spot, you don't get that foaminess, that irritating element that we were describing earlier. Yep. So the question is, how do you do this? So what is the best way, because I'm not going to bubble wrap my teeth, right, to make it come alive?
We've got you covered. I recommend that you brush with Crest Gum and Sensitivity toothpaste, which uses stannous fluoride to help protect the enamel, but then also helps to block sensitivity, just like we saw in the demo. The one thing with Crest Gum and Sensitivity is that it actually helps to treat the problem instead of just numbing the pain. And you ask how it does that? Well, it acts as a physical block around the tooth, plus it helps to kill the plaque bacteria at the gum line, which can lead to gingivitis, which is one of the risk factors for gum recession.
Gingivitis, I hate that.
Yeah, nobody wants
No one wants that. So the big question for me is how long until I can have that pistachio ice cream that I was trying to lick earlier? How long will it take for this to work?
Well, that's the good part. Crest Gum and Sensitivity works differently than your typical sensitivity toothpaste. It actually starts working immediately at the gum line for relief in just days.
All right, and I suspect you can find Crest Gum and Sensitivity toothpaste in most places. Where do you like to get it?
Question. You can get Crest Gum and Sensitivity at Walmart and walmart.com.
So here's the question for the audience now. let me ask you all a question. How many of you, again, put your hands up, have tooth sensitivity like I asked about earlier? So almost the entire audience, more than 1 in 2. So what do you think? Should we share some of the toothpaste with them?
Of course. They want ice cream.
How many of you want toothpaste? To protect that. All right, so thanks to my partner, Chris, you're all going home with Chris Gum and Sensitivity Toothpaste. And you also get a $25 gift card to Walmart. Spend it wisely. We'll be right back. Today, big health news on red wine. It's not only good for your heart, but it's another new reason to drink red wine for your gut. A new discovery now suggests that red wine could improve your gut health. Now, Kima's joining us. She loves red wine, whether you've got research to support it or not. How are you? Why do you love red wine so much?
I like the way it tastes, I like the way it feels and makes me feel, and I like to swirl it around in my glass.
I like all those, and the smell.
Yeah, and the smell.
But you know what I really love? When there are research articles about why it may benefit you that I never thought of before.
Okay.
Because here's the thing, I understand why it might be good for your heart, because people don't usually drink wine with breakfast, right, alone. They have it with friends.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So they think about stuff, they talk. But it turns out one of the benefits might be that this beautiful red wine gets into your gut and does a lot of things there we never anticipated before.
Okay.
Want to learn more about this?
Yes.
All right, so I'll sip with you after we do the demonstration.
Okay.
All right. So let's just pretend this container is your intestines, right? This is your bowel, and it's digesting all the food. And if you look out there, you see all those things out there, those cool little microbiomes. There are trillions of bacteria, other organisms. And you know what? Most of them are good for you. But researchers found out that red wine, right, dark wine, has lots of other diverse types of phenols in it, these different chemicals. And when you pour, you go ahead and pour that in there.
Okay.
Together. When you pour the wine, is that how fast you drink?
No.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, when you drink your wine in a moderate amount, right, then those polyphenols actually turn on different bacteria. And now look what happens. When all that phenols, those chemicals are in there, they feed the good bacteria, they irritate the bad bacteria, helps these bacteria fight off damage, right? So they can help you even more. And now you end up with bacteria in your gut that's much more diverse, and you don't need that much red wine. These researchers found you could have literally once every 2 weeks have a glass of wine, which most of us can do better than that.
Yeah.
Once every 2 weeks, right? Keeps your bacteria in your gut healthy, keeps you healthy, and that, my dear Dima, is worth toasting to. Thanks for being here. Go to DrOz.com for more details on how to turn your leftover wine into a soothing face mask. It actually works. Remember, the power of change, my friends, lies in the power of you. Just one person with one voice, speaking the truth, seeking the truth. Bye, everybody.